Welcome, everyone, to the next Rev Tony Says Deep Dive. We are so excited to bring you this second episode where Rev Tony is sharing his insights from over 40 years of daily study of these lessons. That's right, we're doing a deep dive for each and every lesson in the workbook. Now, this whole series is grounded in Rev Tony's realization that transformation is in fact a science, a form of physics. It's actually part of the data gathering for his doctoral thesis. So today, let's explore Lesson 2, the science of meaning.
Okay, let's start with our mantra for today's deep dive. I am the source of meaning, not its observer. Just let that sink in for a second. It's a really simple sentence, right? But believe me, it holds the key to a massive shift in how we see everything, from being a passive victim of the world to realizing we are its very source.
So how do we even begin to grasp something that big? Well, we start with the practice that is, on the surface, incredibly simple. This is something A Course in Miracles does all the time. It pairs these huge, mind-bending metaphysical ideas with very practical, grounded exercises. And this lesson, it's a perfect example of that.
Here it is. This is the thought we're asked to apply. And not just once, but over and over again, to whatever is around us. It's such a direct statement of cause and effect. Notice it doesn't say, I've added some meaning to things. No, it says I have given it all the meaning that it has, at least for me. That's a huge claim. The actual practice itself is super straightforward. You literally just start with whatever's right in front of you. Then you expand your range, kind of look around the room, maybe even glance behind you. But here's the crucial part, the most important instructions. Be indiscriminate and avoid any kind of strain. It's not about intense concentration. It's more like a light, easy, flowing observation.
And this, right here, this is what indiscriminate really means. A body, an apple, a fly, a button, wow. In the eyes of this lesson, they are all exactly the same. They're equal. See, the practice is designed to completely dismantle our built-in ideas about what's important and what's not. We're learning that we apply this meaning-making machine in our minds to absolutely everything, big and small, with zero exceptions.
And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It seems almost childishly simple. Why a button? Why a fly? But this simple practice is actually the very beginning of our training in a completely different way of seeing. So now, we're going to pivot from the how of the exercise to the really profound why behind it all. You see, this simple little physical practice is really a tool. It's a doorway into a massive metaphysical truth. Rev Tony says this is our first real step in the science of reclaiming our power. It's about realizing that the world doesn't just happen to us. In a really fundamental way, it happens from us.
So, here's the crucial point. Are you a camera or are you a projector? Most of us, we live our lives like we're cameras. We think we're just passively recording an external, objective world that has all its own built-in meaning. But the Course, it teaches something radically different. It says, no way. You're a projector. You are actively projecting a world out there and then giving that projection every single ounce of meaning it seems to have. We are the source.
Now, I know this might sound like some pretty abstract philosophy, but let's try framing it as a science, a kind of physics of consciousness. The idea is that this isn't just a belief system. It's a disciplined way to understand the actual mechanics of our own minds and how they relate to reality.
This chart really helps illustrate that shift in thinking. Conventional physics, for the most part, has seen consciousness as this kind of weird byproduct of a material universe, giving it a pretty minimal role in actually creating reality. But the view from the Course, which is now being echoed by some theories in modern physics, flips that completely on its head. It says consciousness isn't just a part of reality, it's 100% fundamental to it. The universe isn't creating you are creating it.
And hey, this isn't just a spiritual idea anymore. You've got theories like biocentrism from a scientist named Dr. Robert Lanza, which argue that consciousness isn't some random accident of physics. Instead, it's fundamental. From this viewpoint, even things we think are solid, like space and time, are really just tools our minds use to build reality. As Rev Tony says, it really seems like science is finally starting to catch up with ancient wisdom.
This idea of a science of mind is even reinforced in some pretty interesting spiritual texts. For instance, in work channeled by Tina Louise Spalding, Jesus is described not as some untouchable mystical figure, but as a dedicated student of this very science of consciousness. It completely reframes spiritual practice as a disciplined, almost scientific-like exploration.
So, how in the world do we practice this science? Well, the lesson tells us to use our body, our senses specifically. If we can start to reframe the body not as who we are, but as a really sophisticated instrument,
a communication device, as Dr. Sean Higgins' work suggests, then the simple practice of looking at a button or a fly becomes a full-blown scientific experiment. We're using our instrument of perception to become aware of how we are the ones projecting meaning onto everything it sees.
So look how far we've come. We've gone from a simple exercise of looking at a button to understanding ourselves as projectors of reality, practicing what you can only really call a science of mind. The big takeaway here is to carry this powerful understanding with us not just during the practice, but all the time.
And so we come back to our mantra, I am the source of meaning, not its observer. But now, it's not just a string of words, is it? It's a statement of scientific fact from the perspective of consciousness itself. It's a declaration of our power and our responsibility as the creators of our own experience.
You know, this is just one lesson out of 365. If this kind of scientific and metaphysical exploration really resonates with you, well, the journey is just getting started, and you can explore it way deeper with a really dedicated community.
We'll be back really soon to break down Lesson 3. So, as we like to say in this series, keep your radio dials tuned to the Course.ai for the next deep dive in the Rev Tony Says series.
Over at thecourse.ai, you can find an entire AI-enhanced platform dedicated to this work. We've got deep dives, trainings, webinars, and even live online gatherings with Rev Tony. It's an amazing place to join a dynamic community and take your own study to a whole new level.
And we'll leave you with this final thought from Rev Tony. The truth is one, but the ways to express the one are infinite. You should know you are one of the specifically unique expressions. Thanks so much for joining us.